let's go ahead and make predictions for all of these fights, and then we can move on to other things. So, Dong-Yun Kim and Siyar Bahadurzada, or as people like to call him, Siyar the Great. Let's start with you, Mike. What do you think's going to happen in this fight?
I think Siyar Bahadurzada will catch him. The guy's classy striker, and he's people don't know he's actually got a pretty decent ground game. So I think Bahadurzada will catch him, and I think that's one person they need to build up in the UFC. Well, he's got a lot of background behind him, being from Afghanistan and moving to Holland, and anyway, he's got an interesting life. He lives in the United States now, and he's done real well for himself.
Yeah. I think he's definitely come into his own since he came to UFC and knocked out Paulo Thiago. He's put his name on the map with UFC fans, but what do you think, Peter? Is it going to be Siyar the Great, or is it going to be the stun gun Dong-Yun Kim?
I'm going to go with Siyar the Great. I think Mike's right. He's going to catch the Donger there. Probably Donger will do an ST plunge, and that'll be the fight, but I don't see it ending early. I think it will be a second-round knockout.
All right, well, I guess I'll make it a clean sweep then. We'll go 3 for 3 on Siyar the Great. But the next fight on the card, I don't know if we'll have unanimous on that one. And let's talk about guys who are hot and cold. Mike, Rani Yahya has always struck me as that kind of fighter.
Boy, he is. Back in the history book, Yahya suffered a pretty brutal loss to Kid Yamamoto back in the K1 days. And that kind of sticks in my mind. But he's come around, and it just depends on which one shows up. He sure looked good lately, though, and that's the thing. You just don't know which guy is going to show up on these fights, and that's what makes it so much fun. You hope you get something out of him, but Hirota, he's also another guy that, of course, he had his arm snapped by Shinya Aoki, and he's looked marvelous since he came back. He waited, an ample amount of time to come back, and I think he did the right thing. I think he's completely healed. I think Hirota will take it.
All right. Well, Peter, what do you think?
I'm going to pick Hirota, but I'm not confident in my pick. We last saw Hirota get beat by Pat Healy at Strikeforce back in July of last year. As far as Yahya is concerned, he's coming off a win. I always like the guy who comes off a loss rather guys who come off a win, so I'm going to go for Hirota in this one.
As much as I'm tempted to go for Hirota, I'm actually going to be the spoiler here and pick Yahya because I just have this sneaking feeling that Yahya realizes he's got short time left because he's been around for a really long time now, going all the way back to 2002, so he needs to put together a series of wins if he wants to stay relevant and possibly ever get back to a title. So for my money, I think Yahya knows his back's to the wall, and he's going to try to get Hirota down and submit him. So we'll see what happens.
And Hirota is that. He surrendered the deep lightweight title before he came over to the Zuffa-Ran organizations. And so he was a champion coming over here in a pretty well-to-do promotion. But anyway, it'll be a fun fight nonetheless. I think Hirota always puts on a show. He always has. With Goku, he was their lightweight champion, and of course he just had the wrong strategy against Aoki, I think. And grappling with that guy's darn near impossible anyway, unless you're Eddie Alvarez or Gilbert Melendez or something like that. But otherwise, you might not have much luck with the Tobikan Judan.
I can't argue that, but I've just got a gut feeling on Yahya, and I'm going to stick with it, right or wrong. So we'll see.
There we go.
Sometimes I make those gutty calls, and they don't always pan out. But then again, just this past weekend, we only had one fight that we disagreed on between Killer Kev and I on the entire card, and that was Matt Grice and Dennis Bermudez, and He made a very compelling case for Matt Grice, but I stuck it out for Bermudez, and I picked up the point in our prediction game. So sometimes when you stick with your gut, it pays off.
It's been the fight of the year thus far.
Oh, yeah, that was a tremendous fight. In that third round, I couldn't believe that Grice didn't fall down like 6, 7, 8 times. I was like, when is this fight going to be stopped? And then he just kept coming. It was like watching a Korean zombie. Yeah, I thought he was out on his feet,
out
too.
on his feet, yeah. He was something.
I mean, I would say it was a Korean zombie fight, but I've never seen the Korean zombie wobble to the degree that Grice did that third round.
Total amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great fight. But speaking of great fights, Yushin Okami and Hector Lombard, this is a total. It could be either Okami just totally dominates it and grinds it out for the full 3 rounds, because we've seen him do that so many times, or it could be Hector Lombard uses that one-punch knockout power he has. Hard to say which way this fight's going to go.
Jeez, that is a tough one. We haven't seen much of Lombard on the ground, and I just don't even know. I'll take Lombard just because I have to pick, but we've seen Okami is subject to being knocked out, and anyway, I guess I'll go with Lombard.
And I've only seen Lombard look bad in one fight that I've ever watched, and that was a split decision loss to Tim Bosch. And he came back in a big way against Husmar Palhares, who I wasn't sure if Hector Lombard had a future in UFC if he didn't beat Palhares, and he sure did. So now I'm kind of back in the pro Hector Lombard camp, but I always hate writing off Okami in any fight because he's such a grinder and he works so hard, and unless he gets caught late, he usually finds a way to win. So I reluctantly pick Lombard on that basis because I feel like Okami's going to find a way to grind out the fight, and I'll be wrong. Peter, what do you think?
Well, I'm trying to decide. I mean, both fighters are very, very talented, but I'm going to go with Hector Lombard. I hate saying decision, but it's going to be a unanimous decision for Lombard.
Well, it's going to be a unanimous decision for the podcast as well, so let's see if that holds up with Gomi and Sanchez. Why don't you start us on this one, Peter?
Oh, boy. What can I say about this one? Boy, I'm going to go... This might be my upset pick, Stevie. I'm going to go with the Nightmare, Diego Sanchez.
All right. Well, Mike, your turn to make an official pick. I'll come in last.
Yeah, I'm going with Gomi.
Yeah, I'm going with Gomi as well. I think the Fireball Kid is going to be so pumped up fighting in Japan that he's going to find a way to get it done. And Sanchez has just been really spotty of late. Didn't look good until that 3rd round of the Ellenberg fight, which is the last fight I saw Sanchez at live. So I could see Sanchez turning it on late in the fight with Gomi, but I still think Gomi could outpoint him for the rest of the fight. So either Gomi gets a knockout or he gets a decision, but I just don't see Sanchez winning it here.
No, I think traveling to Japan, I'm telling you, there's something to it. And Gomi is a hot commodity in Japan. He doesn't lose often there. Yes, he's got a great chance. Mark Hunt, you look at his record, it's very deceiving. Mark Hunt has fought the who's who of the heavyweight class in his career, and I think Stefan Struve is going to be just another name. And I think he'll. He doesn't care about getting hit, and Struve has gotten quite a bit stronger. Hunt will bull charge him, and Hunt will jump in there and hit him. We've seen Struve's chin is a little, it's questionable. He crumbled there against the cage. Was it against? Who was that against? Roy
Big
Nelson,
Country.
Maybe, or
it was
Roy
Big
Nelson.
Country.
So I think Hunt will be able to get inside and smack him. Now, as Struve starts pulling the ground stuff out, Hunt's gone. Hunt has no ground game to speak of.
See, and that's where I think Stefan Struve has the advantage, because he's got those incredibly long limbs, and he's got that ace jiu-jitsu that he can submit people from the most unorthodox of positions using his size and reach. So I just feel like Struve is going to take it to the ground almost immediately and not stand there and trade with Mark Hunt, because that would be the easy way for him to lose. So it's not that I disrespect Mark Hunt in any way, but he had to get on a roll just to get back to 500 in MMA. Yeah, as a kickboxer, his career is legendary. His K1 and Grand Prix accomplishments are not to be dismissed, but until he got on a roll and beat Chris Tuchscherer and Ben Rothwell and Czech Congo, it seemed like his UFC career wasn't going to be anything to write home about. And even with the guys he's beat in UFC, it's almost like, this is the first time he's really faced a top 10 guy, so he's facing somebody on a whole different level. And I know we said rankings are subjective and they don't matter, but then again, Struve has earned it by beating the best of the best to get where he is right now.
Totally agree with you, but at the same time, it's like, if Mark Hunt wins, where does he go from there?
I think it's Stefan Struve. I think he wins by by submission here. I would say second round is again. But here's the thing. There's a stat on Stefan Struve's record. His entire MMA career, which has spanned now 30 fights, only one fight has gone to a decision.
One more fight to talk about. The main event for Fuel TV, Wanderlei Silva and Brian Stann. So, Mike, as our resident expert on all things Asian MMA, got to start with you on the Axe Murderer. What's your pick?
Oh, goodness. I love Silva. He's such a good guy. He's great for the sport. He's going to get so much fan support over there. Unfortunately, Silva... I don't know how to put this nicely. His regimen has changed quite a bit since he's come to the United States and fought in the UFC. You guys can use your imaginations for what you will on that one. But I just think Brian Stann's too much of an athlete there, and I don't think Silva has that. I don't think Silva has it in him to take out Brian Stann. I think he's just too much of a fighter, and I think Silva has been through one too many wars, albeit Stann is a Marine, but. Anyway, lame attempt at an MMA joke there. No, but I do think Stann will take it.
I have to agree. As much as I love and respect Wanderlei Silva, you're right when you say he's been in some wars, and they've left him the worse for wear. There's times that I just think he ought to just hang it up and not even fight anymore, because he's taken some serious abuse in his last 6 fights. He's gotten KO'd 3 times, and he's looked bad in a few other decisions, and I mean, the last impressive win he really had was Keith Jardine, and then you go back and he's got another 3 losses. So it's not been good times for him in the U.S. You said it yourself, and I would like to see Wanderlei go out on a high note and get a win in Japan in front of his basically hometown fans, because that's where he made his name. But you're right. The All-American Brian Stann is just too much of an athlete, and I have a feeling he's going to take advantage of a guy that's been down the road and back again and looks the worse for wear for it.
Well, this one is interesting because there's some fighters who have fought both guys, like Michael Bisping, for example. Silva beat Bisping, but Stann got beat by Bisping. Bisping is one heck of a fighter. Now, Stevie, you said, Silva's been in some wars, but so has Stann, and I'm not talking in the cage. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a weird... I said off air, I'm not sure how the Japanese audience will react to Stann. You know what I mean? Because Silva's so loved in Japan. I don't know if they're going to be quiet or if they're going to be booing the All-American.
No, Japanese crowds. Yeah, they never boo. They're not like that. That's an American or a Canadian audience. Japan audiences are very respectful. Go ahead.
They booed Shinya Aoki when he broke Hirota's arm and flipped him off, and that was one of the very, very few times I've seen them boo. But it takes something on that level to pull a boo out of those guys.
Do they boo Sexyama in Japan?
Oh, well, of course they do. He greased for his fight. He'd be about the only other guy they would boo.
They don't. And he's Korean, and the relationship between the Japanese and the Koreans, it's got a history there. But Akiyama is a self-made Japanese man.
I actually think he relishes that status that he has of being the bad guy. I think Sexyama kind of revels in it a little bit.
Yeah, he does. And the thing of it is, on the big scale there, he is pretty well liked there. Japanese people, I guess they've forgiven him. I don't know, but that seems like that was just yesterday. But time flies.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But I think we're all agreeing here that time has not served Silva well. So
I'm picking Silva, actually, Stevie. So
you are? Okay.
Yes.
I got the mistaken impression from that you were going with Stann.
No, I'm actually going to go with Silva, getting the win in the hometown, or a second home, I guess. But I just don't see Stann winning here.